I'm happy to be joined on the line by Aiemann Zahabi, who collides with Kyle Oliveira coming up March 12th in Regina for Prestige FC. Aiemann, how's obviously just getting out of training right now? How are things shaping up for you leading into this fight in Regina?
Things are looking real good. You know, I'm really happy with how my training is going, and my coaches seem real happy with my progression since my last fight. So I'm hoping to show something new. You know, I'm going to show like a better performance than I've had so far. So I'm hoping to surprise in this fight.
Are you the type of person that charts your own growth, or do you rely on your coaches and your teammates to point out the things that you're getting better at and the things that you need to work on?
No, of course. I always I have a few guys who work with me very closely. I have Conrad Pla, I have my brother Faraz, and I have really close training partners who are always helping me out. And I right now have a couple of guys who are getting really good at jiu-jitsu, and they're helping me a lot. Ethan Clementine and Oliver Tadra. Those guys are, making a big splash in the jiu-jitsu world, and they're really helping with my grappling game. So, I put it in the hands of other people, so that I don't have a bias, I don't want to like hide my mistakes. I want them to tell me what it is.
Of course. One thing that we've noticed about you, you seem very, very mentally strong. Is that something that you've developed over time, or is it just something that comes naturally to you?
No, I think it's just like any other fighter. As you get more fights, you build more confidence because you're doing well in your sport, and confidence comes with time. It comes with competence. So as you do well, you'll be more confident, and it comes from training consistently all the time in the gym, and working with a good staff and good teammates who help push you and make you better. Why
did you decide this is the path for you? It seems that you could have just taken a leadership role, opened your own academy down the road in a different city and found success there. Why did you feel that you needed to be battle tested to get yourself into the fire, so to speak?
You know what? That could have been a great path for me. I could have been a coach and never had to risk my body physically or anything like that, and just sit back and try to make as many good fighters as I can. But I thought, why not? Why not try it? Why not take a chance? I'm young. I can be a coach at 35, until I'm 50, 60 years old. Right? But I can't be a fighter after that. At 35, 36 to start fighting, you can't. So I was like, I'm in my 20s. Why not take a chance and see what I've got? If I make it in fighting, I make it. That's great. If I don't, no big deal. I'm going to be a coach and I'll help guys out. I can teach guys wrestling, grappling, boxing, help them with their mental game, all kinds of things. So I said, why not take a chance? I don't want to live life with any regrets. So I said, I'll give it a shot and we'll see how this goes. And so far, it's going pretty well. So even if a loss or two happens, it's not a big deal. I'm going to keep pushing until I've had my fill of the sport.
What is the goal as a martial artist? What are you hoping to gain out of stepping in there with another individual? We've heard fighters in the past, for Renzo Gracie, for example, to say that when he faced Sakuraba was able to put him into a place that he's never been before, and he thanks Sakuraba for it. Why do you get in there? Is there something personal that you need to learn?
I want to discover myself, and there's nothing that pushes you harder than fighting, getting in the cage and testing yourself. It doesn't really matter so much who the opponent is as long as you prepare. It's always like Conor McGregor said, it doesn't matter. You're fighting against yourself in there, and I want to test myself and push myself to the limits and seeing what am I capable of? What all this drilling I do, all these moves I learn, all these seminars I've went to, everything I've learned from so many fighters and so many great things. What do I actually know? What can I actually do? And I want to go in there and find out like who I am as a martial artist. What can I do? How can I perform? And I want to solidify myself as a very good martial artist. I want to be UFC world champion. I want to bring the belt back to TriStar. I want to be like a George St-Pierre. I want to be like that guy. I want to be a legend like him.
How do you push yourself? Obviously, being around all the great coaches and training partners you have at TriStar, that's going to help you get better. But is there something mentally that you need to do, or do you feel that you're doing the necessary steps to eventually make your way to the UFC and get bigger and better fights and sharpen your skills? Do you feel that you're on that path?
I feel like I'm on the path because, every fight I fight somebody a little bit different, a little bit better, and I'm progressing through the ranks, and if people know anything about fighting, that's how you build fighters, So now I'm fighting a guy who's really good at boxing. He's two sport athlete. He's athletic, he's got a good chin. He's got good cardio. So I'm going to test myself against this guy, and hopefully I come over this obstacle. I beat him, and I see a new progression in my skill level. And that's the kind of thing that motivates me. I want to fight different types of guys. Every fight a little bit better until I'm fighting the UFC world champ.
For
And
Kyle,
that's the biggest motivation.
of course, for Kyle Oliveira, when you look at this opponent, you mentioned that he's dual specialist, but he hasn't been very consistent over the last number of years. I think he made his debut in 2011, and only one fight a year over the last couple of years. Do you feel that it's important to get to be as active as humanly possible to realize your potential?
Yeah, but you know what? I don't blame him for that. Look at me. I've only had 2 fights a year. It's because it's hard to get fights. You know, it's not easy. You know, promotions, they fall apart. They get canceled. The person you're supposed to fight drops out. Like, sometimes I've had cards where I've had 3-4 opponents, and they've all gotten injured. You know, it's a part of our sport. You know, in combative sports, people get hurt all the time in training. You know, accidents happen. So, you know, I don't think it's his fault. I don't think he doesn't want to fight. I think just maybe he's like me. You know, cards fall apart, opponents drop out, and I think he's game. You know, I think he's a game opponent, and I'm going in there to fight him like he's one of the best fighters in the world.
I think if we look back in the history of mixed martial arts, because of the last name Gracie, if you had the last name Gracie, you were automatically a target. If you got yourself into mixed martial arts, people were gunning for you. I think it's safe to say that's the same case when it comes to you. People hear that you have a famous last name. Your brother's one of the top coaches in mixed martial arts. Does that add pressure to you? Does that help motivate you to the fact that you know that you have a target on your back and that you do not stray from your training?
I don't feel any pressure from it at all. I tell people all the time, like, I love it, actually. You know, it's good because if it helps me get some more fights, I'm happy to fight. You know, all I want is to get more fights. I want to build more experience. And if it would help to change my last name to St-Pierre, I would be Aiemann St-Pierre.
I don't think you would.
Yeah.
Where do you think you've grown since you've stepped into the cage or the ring for the very first time? What have you learned about yourself throughout this journey?
I've learned to be a little bit more calm and more relaxed. Like, if you look through all my fights, my first fight, when the fight started, I wasn't very relaxed in there. I was a little bit nervous and jittery. You can see the way I threw my punches wasn't very calm and relaxed. I didn't really look like I had much experience in there, you know. And you look at my second fight and my third fight and my fourth fight and then my last fight, you see that I've calmed down in the striking a little bit, you know. So I like the progression that, you know, I'm starting to become more myself in this cage during a fight. Like in sparring, I spar all the time. I'm in sparring forever. So I'm very calm always in practice. But when it came to the fighting, you know, my first few fights, I wasn't so good in my skin. And I feel like now I'm just finding myself in there and I'm getting loose, you know. So hopefully this fight I'll be even more loose and I'll be able to, you know, do some good boxing, some good takedowns, yeah, some good jiu-jitsu.
People talk about getting into the flow state. You look back at Anderson Silva, it seems to be one of the reasons why people loved him so much is that he seemed to fight stress-free. Is that a place that you can get yourself at this point in your career? Or is it something that the goal is to always try to get yourself to that point?
Yeah, right now I'm striving to get to that point. You know, I wouldn't say I'm that level yet, but that's my goal. You know, I want to be, I want to be cool as a cucumber in there. I want to be like Anderson Silva. You know, when he was fighting in the UFC when he first started and he threw 14 strikes, he landed 14 strikes.
Yeah.
That's the goal. You know, I wish I was that. You know, I'm not there yet, but that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what I was talking about. Like, from my first fight, I wasn't too cool on my feet. You know, I wasn't moving on the ground too cool, too smoothly. And if you look at my fights as they progress, I started, you know, breaking into that and getting calm. And I'm hoping that every fight until I get into the UFC, that I'm getting more and more smooth. So when I'm there, I'm eating everybody alive.
Aiemann, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck to you in Regina. Aiemann Zahabi collides with Kyle Oliveira. All the action going down in Regina, Saskatchewan on March 12th for Prestige FC.